are many reasons why a Spanish learner could start to lack motivation. Anywhere from not feeling like they're progressing anymore to feeling like they don't have enough time. But one of the major reasons why you may start to lack motivation while you're learning Spanish is because you just simply stop having fun with it. That is not okay. We have to enjoy what we're doing in order to be able to maintain the consistency to continue with it. So in today's video, I want to talk about 7 ways that you can start having fun with your Spanish again, especially if you're at that upper beginner or intermediate stage where you've learned a bunch of words, but you just have to know how to put them together and how to start having fun with your Spanish again. Comencemos, amigos. What's up, language leaders? Welcome back to the channel. Or if you're new here, hello, my name is Erica. I'm a Spanish coach and teacher, and here on the channel I publish Spanish learning strategies, stories, listening practice, and lessons to help you love, learn, and live the Spanish language far beyond the classroom setting. So if that sounds interesting to you, why not hit that subscribe button and that bell so that you don't miss any videos. All right, guys, so the first thing that you can do to just kind of start having fun with your Spanish again is to make sure that you are connecting it with your hobbies, connect it with the things that you already enjoy doing. I remember one student in our Language Leaders Inner Circle groups, or our private community that's part of our Framework to Fluency program. She mentioned that she had just watched the Super Bowl in Spanish and it was an entirely different experience. It was really interesting watching it in Spanish when she normally watched it in English. I worked with a client before who was a gamer, and so he started playing video games with other Spanish speakers, and so in that way exposing himself to the same vocabulary that he was used to hearing in English but in Spanish, and doing something that he really enjoyed doing anyway. Or what if you like to cook? Well, why not try to find your favorite recipes, or even better, traditional recipes from the Spanish-speaking country that you are most interested in Spanish, and use those instead. Recipes, besides listing out the ingredients, usually come with instructions that are very simple to understand and to follow. Mix this, put this in the skillet, do this. They're just already written in very simple language just because of the nature of recipes. So that could be something that's really fun for you if you enjoy cooking, or at least if you enjoy eating, to just kind of add some fun back into your Spanish. And to take it a step further, something that you can do is as you're cooking, just try to say what you're doing to yourself, or maybe you're cooking with someone else, with your partner, or with your children. Try to speak. Ahora voy a mezclar los ingredientes, voy a agregar el tomate, voy a poner todo en el sartén. Just speak what you're doing, and that's going to help you just have some fun with Spanish. So connect it with a hobby or something that you like to do anyway. Number 2 is to never separate the language from the culture. Sometimes we can get so into our textbook or just explanations and just really thinking about Spanish as this academic subject that we forget that it's a language that people, that human beings speak, who have certain lives that they live and things that they do. So remember to always be learning about the culture at the same time that you're learning about the language. And of course, in the Spanish-speaking world, there are so many different cultures that you could learn from, and every family has their own way of doing things. So if you know someone who speaks Spanish, if you have some coworkers or some neighbors, be sure not to just keep the conversation to everyday small talk. Ask them where they're from, ask them what they most enjoyed about their home country, what they miss, things that they didn't like. Learn from them. What elements of their country have they been able to maintain? If they now live somewhere else, like in an English-speaking country, let's say, are they still eating their traditional foods? What are their concerns? All of these things are just going to help you connect to the actual people on a personal level, and that's going to just continue to motivate you to learn the language. Language is about people, not about words and grammar. The third way is to watch series on TV, Netflix, that are in Spanish. Now, these could actually be series that are originally in Spanish, or they could be series that you're already familiar with, that you've already seen in English, that now you're watching in Spanish. Just keep in mind that if you're watching something that has been dubbed into Spanish, the Spanish subtitles are no longer going to be helpful because they're usually translated by a different translator than the one who did the translation for the actual dubbing. And so there are different ways of saying similar things, and you're not actually going to be able to follow along with the words and the audio, but that's okay if you're using this for something that's fun, especially if you're already familiar with this series in English. Maybe even better if it's about everyday situations, everyday family work situations that you can relate with and you remember seeing in English, then you're going to be able to pick up on how to express those similar thoughts in Spanish. Always keeping in mind that never are we dealing with a word for word translation. We have to express the same thought. So you may have those moments where you remember this key thing that a character said and you're just sitting there waiting for it to see how are they going to express that in Spanish. I do that sometimes too. And it's just a lot of fun. You can learn new expressions, new ways of expressing similar thoughts that you've been having in English, and that can just help to add some fun into your routine. Number 4. Watch the Spanish news or read a news article in Spanish, and then go talk to someone in Spanish about that thing. Again, this could be a coworker, a neighbor, or even your tutor, anyone who would probably be aware of the local event that is happening, and try to have that conversation in Spanish, maybe expressing your thoughts, expressing your opinions in the way that you would do so in English, but just bringing that into Spanish. And that just adds some relevancy to your Spanish. You kind of feel like it has a purpose because you are discussing something that's affecting the people around you, that's perhaps affecting you as well. And that can be a way to add some interest and flavor into your Spanish practice. Number 5 can sound kind of funny, but it's something I've done myself sometimes to practice French. If you are learning Spanish or any language and you have people in your household who do not understand that language, then instead of talking with them, because you're not going to be able to talk with them, but just talk at them. Even if it's for a few minutes, if they don't mind, maybe they ask you a question and you respond in the other language, or maybe visually you can just demonstrate what you're doing, this one or this one, but you say that in Spanish, and because of the visuals that you're using, they might actually understand what you're saying and kind of find it kind of fun. Even though they're going to respond to you in a different language, keep talking at them in the language that you're learning, in Spanish in this case. It's funny that even when you can't converse with someone, just kind of having another human there present can be sort of motivational for you, giving you someone to talk to or to talk at in this case. And that's another thing that you can do, even if it's just for a few minutes on occasion, to practice your Spanish verbally as well. If you're taking Spanish courses, such as Spanish self-paced courses where you're not talking to someone in the moment that you're studying, well, make sure that they are courses that ask you to respond back. Even if there's not a person there, you need to make sure that you are always engaging with the language, that it's always interactive, that you're always being asked to formulate your own sentences and to do something, to think and to get involved in the process. The courses that are very passive in nature, where you're just kind of listening and then filling in the blanks and never asked to really try to reformulate the thought or to express your thought, they really do get quite boring and they're not engaging your brain in the way that they could. So make sure that anything that you're using, any course that you're using, is very interactive and has you on your toes, it has you responding. You may even feel a little bit of pressure even though no one's even listening to you, if it tells you, how would you say this, and then waits for your response. So those can be great tools to use as well. Number 7, stories. Stories are one of my personal favorite ways to learn language. They were crucial for me in my Spanish learning and continue to be. Stories give you a chance to connect to the characters in the story, whether on a real personal level, maybe you can relate to what's going on, or just the fantasy level, right? But either way, they're interesting, and it's something that helps to give your brain the context that it needs to keep learning and to keep wanting to learn, just because stories are so much fun. But I won't elaborate too much on stories because I did make this other video where I go into detail about how you can learn Spanish through stories. I give you my 4-step method that has worked for me and hundreds of other students that I teach it to. So you can check that video out next. And you can also go and grab your free guide to learn the steps about exactly how to learn Spanish through stories. You can find that at ericaraylanguage.com blog/stories. All right, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this list of 7 things that you can do to add some fun back into your Spanish language learning. Let us know, have you tried any of these? Is there one that kind of sparked your interest that you were thinking about trying? Definitely let us know in the comments below. That's all for today, guys, but until next time, don't forget to go out and live your new language today. Hasta la próxima, amigos.